that sound effect. Hello, welcome back to 100x Engineering, episode 4. We are having a little bit of a different episode today due to some technical difficulties. This is Drew, and I would like to introduce my co-host this time. I am the host. I guess we're both hosts. Carter.
You get the power seat though, for sure.
He's internet. He's struggling with his internet right now. Internet challenged, bandwidth challenged.
You put it that way, it sounds like a disease or something. All this look big. Just gonna do some stuff here that makes it. Oh, okay. No, so like, get this. Like, my internet, a little dish on top of my house that beams 5G internet to all neighbor houses. Dang, I'm having issues. Can you hear me?
We can get most of it. Keep going. It's decent. Just talk slow.
Okay. It got covered in ice and snow, and okay. I have to wait for ice and snow.
So. Okay. All right. So we got most of that.
I'll mute myself and we'll see how.
Yeah, we'll roll with it. So hopefully your dish, the ice melts and the snow melts, or whatever's going on there. But happy to still have you via 5G, and we actually have a guest that I would like to introduce. Charlie will be joining us, who is a true OG at Jupiter One. He is quite a lot of things. He has a really cool puppy. He has really great style, and he's also a principal engineer here at Jupiter One. So very happy to have you, Charlie.
Hey, yeah, happy to be here.
I know you as one of those core founding members of the company. When I joined, you were more of a legend than anything. You've contributed across the board, to my knowledge. Oh, there goes Carter. So he's gone. Hi, Carter.
And here comes Carter.
No Wi-Fi. Great. But yeah, you've contributed to a ton on the product and the company for a long, long time, at least relative to our little startup here. So yeah, happy to have you.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me okay?
We can
hear
you.
It's a real bad time for the Mother Nature to say 100x Engineering is going to, you don't get to participate in this today, Carter, but apparently nature's fury has eased off right now and melted my ice coating just enough that we're getting some. Just got a private comment for some reason. LMAO today is a 1x engineering day. Yeah. So tell me if my internet's dropping out. To our 2.4 million viewers, I apologize for my my half.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm glad you're back, getting situated. Also got, apparently Charlie makes a mean espresso. I can't bring the comments up, but we've already got some chat comments.
I can bring comments up.
I think that's worth calling out. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either, actually.
Next time you guys are at the office, I can bring all my coffee stuff.
I will hold you to that. So Carter, while you're getting situated, we are going to talk about a range of things today. Kind of probably want to start with a little bit of Charlie's background. I don't know where we want to start with that because there's quite a lot. I'm super
Start with
curious.
the music.
That's what I was going to say. Music. He has a mean EDM playlist that I think we should talk on. Tell us about that, Charlie.
Yeah, so I don't know if many people know Austin Kelleher, but back when we were working together at a previous company, we started up a playlist for just EDM music. Back then, we were super into it, looking to go to like Tomorrowland and a bunch of festivals. So we started a playlist, and we've just been constantly adding to it like over the years. So I think it's been going on for like 6 years now, and it's like 88 hours long now. So it's just like a massive playlist with like I think 2,000 or so songs, maybe more now.
Okay, but like how much time is that? Like
by Carter. He said 87 hours worth of songs.
It's a lot.
Like if you listen to it for 3 days straight, you still wouldn't be done. Is my math right on it? Yeah. Carter, you're back now. It's just trolling you at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's really bad.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say nothing unless it's extremely important, and then
Okay.
that'll minimize the
That's fair.
chances of it disrupting.
But yeah, that's really cool. I'm also an EDM fan. I am a big. I'm not a contributor, but I have consumed the playlist. I think it's amazing. I'm glad we share that. What was
Drew,
that,
can you
Carter?
tell the fans about our modified format today that we're experimenting with the how long we're going?
Right. Okay. So I did forget some details. We're going to be going a little shorter today, 30 to 40 minutes, as opposed to our normal hour. We are still going to try and play a janky game in the process. I think we should be able to pull that off. So not much has changed there. And yeah, I did, Carter, if you're able to talk, you just went to a dev conference in New York City. Do
I
you dare
did.
talk about that?
Yes, but the more important thing I want to talk about is this is normal Carter. This is ring light Carter. Carter got a ring light, and I feel like that's the thing. Yeah, rolling large now is $20 on Amazon, and my boss Phil, who we all met last week or last episode, is like looked at me on the stream and is like, Carter, you could use better lighting on your face. And so I got that. So I knew better than the challenge.
Here, if he can confirm, you look great. I think it's a
Thank
great
you. It's
I've got a light as well. It's dark.
In answer to your question, though, yeah, I went to lead dev New York City last week, and it was awesome. I heard about it from a couple of friends that I have that work at Divi, and they were telling me, I'm a couple years into my management career, and it was really nice and refreshing to be able to go to like one of these conferences and connect with like. I gotta stop whatever I'm saying just to shout this out.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you to our fans in the audience for calling that out. But yeah, it was really refreshing being able to go and like talk to other managers and other like directors and leaders, and be like, hey, what are the problems you guys are having? You all are having. What are some of the things you're dealing with, and how do you solve these problems? Things that I was talking to them about was hiring, and like how are they handling some of the challenges around hiring right now, where it's a very competitive market, and how do you stand out in that? Talked a little bit about like how do you measure the intangible, output of an engineering org. It's another thing that there's a lot of content about. It was really cool. So if anybody's listening that is in management or leadership or wants to be, I would highly recommend it. They're doing another one next year. They're doing one in San Francisco here in a few months, so they're pretty cool. I submitted to talk to the London one and it got rejected, but I was really hoping to have a cool excuse to go out to London.
Yeah, you miss all the shots you'll take, so wish you. Well, that's pretty cool. I'm not sure that's too relevant to what we're going to talk about today, but we do have a lot of cool topics to go through. Not on the hiring side, but I think we're gonna just roughly go through kind of our developer experiences, our dev environment setups, our backgrounds a little bit, and I think we're going to touch on management, how that's impacted us as introverts, maybe. What else? Strategies for protecting dev time. We've got a lot of cool things to talk about. So,
all whilst playing.
Do you want to unveil the game? Is it time?
I will unveil the game. Charlie, are you able to? Oh wait, no, it's up here right now. All whilst playing, 3-player chess.
Which we already started.
How are we bouncing?
Oh, that's not good. There you go.
Okay, yeah, sorry to resize it, just make it a little prettier, but yeah.
Nice. Where's the card gone?
Yeah, might be too much.
This is amazing. So 3-player chess is what we're going to try and swing as we discuss those topics today. As you can see, we've all made a few moves. I can't bring the comments up. I wonder if Ashley can do that. Some people are saying, how is that possible? There we go. Carter, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Nothing. I'm going to take my move, and I'm going to take Charlie's pawn in a fit of rage.
That was my pawn. Oh, wait, no, it wasn't.
I was like, oh no, Drew, casualty. I didn't mean to.
How dare you? I can make my move as well.
Take that.
Whoa.
Oh, I just didn't think that through.
Okay.
Tyler wants to play against the winner.
Tyler, I can send you my credentials, Tyler, if my internet goes out, and you can play in my behalf.
You were going to win, which is not the case.
So one of the first things I wanted to talk about, I was in the office. So Charlie, you work in RTP, right? Or you work in Raleigh?
Yeah.
So I was out in Raleigh, I don't know, back in November, and I got to talk fast before my internet goes down. It was like I needed an office to crash in, and Charlie was like, "Oh, you can use mine." And like I sat down at his desk and was like, "Whoa, like I don't even know what to touch here. Like I don't even know how to plug in or use the keyboard or like the mouse or things." Like Charlie's one of those engineers that like if he left his computer unlocked and I wanted to troll him with it, like I wouldn't be able to do anything. I'd be like, "How do you hold this mouse?" Like I hit spacebar and everything disappears. It's like the desk is like stuck in Vim and I don't know how to exit it. And he knows it.
It's a security measure.
Yeah, it was really impressive. So, Charlie, can you kind of talk about like your personal setup that you have and like what some of the things are that like you find most valuable? What are some things that are just like, fun, things that help you, things that just look cool?
Yeah, sure. I can talk about that. Honestly, my setup right now is actually not too crazy, I guess, in terms of just my desk. I like to use a mechanical keyboard, so I actually have one right over here. It's a GMMK Pro with, I don't know if anybody wants to like hear about all the nerdy stuff about this. Okay, yeah, so it's a GMMK Pro with, I think, glorious holy pandas that have been lubed. And this also has like all the nice like gaskets and kind of foam in it to kind of noise dampen. So this is like my daily driver at the moment. Aside from that, though, all I really have is just like a decent Yeti mic and just a webcam. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, pics of it. Yeah,
there's first person perspective there.
That's solid.
So are you saying your desk isn't actually that? Say your desk isn't that complicated. It just makes me sound like an imbecile. It's like, yeah, Carter sat down at my simple desk. I don't know what to tell him.
So it was a lot more complicated, I think, around the time that you were kind of like using my desk, because we did have I had an audio DAC there. I was like trying to get into like various different ways, like improving sound quality while I'm working, because I like to actually listen to that EDM playlist while writing code a lot. So so I was doing a lot of experimental stuff. So I can totally get why it was like a little bit weird.
I love that. That makes me feel a little bit better. Thank you. Also, for our all of our fans in the comments here, I'm going to drop a link to the. If you're on LinkedIn, I'm sorry, but if you're on Twitch or YouTube, you have a link now to the Austin Kelleher, Charlie. I'm going to mispronounce your last name. I'm sorry. The Austin and Charlie playlist on Spotify. So take a look at that, join it, and feel free to DM us if you have any submissions for it. They have to go through Charlie and Austin first, though, not me.
Yeah, and the keyboard, I mean, there's just a huge niche environment for the keyboard enthusiasts. I am like a beginner at best. I have a Keychron, nothing custom, and blue keys because I work remotely, so I can just mash away, and I think it's great. But I'm just learning all the little things, yeah. Oh, are we going right into exposing my setup? I am very basic. There is nothing crazy about this. No crazy shortcuts. I mean, basic at best.
Is that a Nixie tube on the left?
That's probably the coolest thing about my setup.
Yeah, that's the clock. That's super cool.
I want to make a joke asking if it's an alarm clock or a bomb, but I don't know if that's a tasteful joke to make.
Not too tasteful. It is a cool clock. It's got a bunch of
like I didn't say that. That was a joke a few years back, right?
Yeah. I've got things to fidget with on the right because I constantly find myself playing with something. Currently holding a string that I just found on my desk. Cannot keep my hand still. Rubik's Cube helps with that.
Quick question. How do you feel about the vertical monitor? That's like a setup that I've been like meaning to try, but just haven't had the time to like pick up the monitor.
I think
oriented.
Yeah, I think I do what most people do with it, and it houses, as you could probably see, my Slack and like just text documents I'm reading, and or a terminal if it's small enough. Just like if I'm running a few servers, it's nice to just have it there on the side, out of the way. But other than that, I'm not too much of a fan.
Okay.
The vibes when I forget my pawn can be attacked by the queen. Here I was doing like a sneak attack right out the gate.
There's a lot of violence between you and Charlie right now in the chess match.
Yeah, there's nothing ruining it. Charlie was actually like the most hospitable person to me when I started at Jupiter. Everyone was super nice, and Jupiter One's awesome. And it's been awesome since the start. But like Charlie was like super like, he like drove me around when I flew out to Raleigh for the first time. I was like, I have no idea where to go to eat. He was like, here, I'll take you to lunch and everything. And then ended my first day there was I got out of the car and Charlie turned to me and said, Carter, love you. And it just like froze. I was like, I love you too. And then I went into my hotel room. Charlie, can you talk a little about where the I love you culture came from?
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah.
This
No
is
problem.
surprise content on the stream, but there is a subculture here of like 3 or 4 people who end every phone call by subtly saying I love you. You can't just outright say I love you. You have to like half mean it.
Yeah. So I don't think I can take credit for this. I think this is definitely like an Austin thing. Hopefully,
We'll have to bring Austin up on that.
Yeah, but he just like he used to do this thing where he would like go on calls and then like awkwardly at the very end be like, "Love you," and then like immediately like leave the call. So he kept doing that to the point where we started just doing it everywhere. So yeah, for a while.
Just
Well, yeah, the biggest hurdle was initially with Phil, actually, where we started doing that with Phil, and I think that made Phil really awkward. But then we just kind of like kept doing it. I think Phil eventually warmed up to it after like 4 years, and then we started doing it with everybody. And so, yeah, and since then it's just always kind of stuck. So,
to all our reviewers out there, don't worry. If you join Jupiter One, you won't be told by somebody that you don't know that they love you.
That's a bold assurance, but probably not your first week at least.
But you might be told, and there are worse things to tell people, right? The world could use more love. Thank you for taking us on that journey, Charlie, and forgive the curveball. That was not in our notes.
Yeah, no, that's good.
On the topic of, we've got some shout out, we've got some love coming out for vertical monitors here. We got some comments from Julia. Brendan here is a fan of the third monitor's vertical. I have actually never done that except for like in the computer lab in my college of like there, and like it's always been like a little bit too much for me to look at. Where I have to like look up and down. I don't know. Maybe I'm sitting too close or have bad posture. Let's see if I can pull my setup here because I want to be included. This is my setup's probably the least exciting of the 3. Actually, I don't have no Jigglypuff. I don't have a cool alarm clock. I've got an Novation circuit on my desk that I used to drop some beats while I used to be waiting for my code to compile or test. When I'm just kind of thinking, I'll like throw out like the drum pads there and just kind of think with my hands for a minute. What else have I got there? I dropped a message of this earlier in like the chat when we were talking about stuff, and everyone's like, "Oh, like look at this," and nobody asked about the whisk that's obviously sitting there. Somebody want to ask about the whisk?
Oh, yeah, I'm actually super interested.
I'm glad you asked. The whisk, I'm waiting to hang it up. It used to be hung on in our other place we live, but the whisk came from a D&D group I play, or a group of friends I played D&D with, and I had a character who could only speak in haikus. And I had something where my dragon person was talking to a chef in the kitchen, and I said, in order to make great things, sometimes whisks must be taken. And I rolled like a D20, and everybody ended up laughing, and a bunch of things went on. And like you know how D&D goes, or if you don't know how D&D goes, then maybe this doesn't work. But the people I was playing with thought it was really funny, so they all pitched in and bought me a $4 whisk. So it's my haiku character whisk.
It's pretty cool. I like the story.
It is revealed.
Also appreciate the Metroid logos. I see two.
I'm still leaving this up there. Yeah, it's not that interesting. Okay, thank you. There's a lot of it. There's borderline too much of it. I also have a Viking shield over there with the Metroid logo on it that I got from the Renaissance Fair.
If it's the show us now, like,
what was that?
Where is that?
Since you asked, okay. This makes it all worth it. I'm also wearing sweatpants today, so this is my Renaissance Fair Viking shield.
That's so cool.
That's awesome. I don't know what this language is. I know it's something Japanese, kata, I think, but it says Metroid in it. So this thing likes to fall off my wall and break something every 4 months. So that's it. Anyways, back on track. Now that we're all through that, where do we leave off in our notes? Right beneath Carter's Viking shield. Let's see. I do need an axe too. Oh, and shout out to Brendan for asking what is the whisk. Sorry, what is with the whisk? So thanks. Appreciate the representation there. Whose turn is it in chess? Are we still showing that?
I think it's your turn.
Your turn. It's been your turn for a while.
I've been going on about this. Okay, I need some input from the audience about what I should do here.
No, that's cheating.
That is not cheating. That is an assist, a handicap, if you will. So
Not
if anybody
crowdsourced.
watching, that way I don't have to take credit for if this goes poorly. But while we're waiting for that, so Charlie, so we've talked a little bit about like some of the hardware stuff like on your desk. We've seen that. What are some like the things that like on the software side, have you done any like snippets, shortcuts, aliases, things on like your operating system like environment that you'd recommend?
Yeah. So for work, I typically run just Linux. I think at work here we have to use Ubuntu as just because it works with like all of our kind of like security tooling like Carbon Black and all that. So sticking with Ubuntu, and I use like a kind of like desktop environment known as Regolith, which comes up with like i3, Ro-Fi, a bunch of tools that I know a few of you probably have maybe heard of for like tiling window management and all that. And so after a few years of using that, it's just kind of been like, it's hard for me to go back and like I have an M1 Mac at home that is just like, okay, now I need to figure out a good tiling window management solution for this because I just can't, like my brain's kind of stuck with that now. So yeah, in terms of like just navigation and stuff like that, I use that. Aside from that, I don't know, what do you want to like dig into? Like development, I guess?
Do you use VS Code? Do you use Vim? Do you use Emacs?
I use
Sublime, Notepad++?
I used to use Emacs. Actually, like I used to use Atom, then Emacs, and then I since switched to Vim, and now I'm on NeoVim. And I've been using NeoVim for the longest amount of time now, probably like 5 years now.
What is NeoVim? For the rest of us that, for the people on here who don't know what NeoVim is, can you actually, so I'm a big Vim fan. I even use Vim in like my Chrome window.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do the same actually.
Vimium.
Yes, Vimium. It's so good. So NeoVim is actually a fork of Vim that started to like support some nice features around kind of like async processing. So as you're like, editing text and you need, say, I don't know, like a language server to be running on the side and actually, doing some nice things like doing some linting, stuff like that, or giving you like information about like, type errors. NeoVim was kind of like spawned out as a fork to help support a lot of those kind of async tasks so that you can actually kind of do all that without locking up your editor completely. Since then, mainline Vim has caught up and like introduced its own APIs for that. But so that's a lot of reason why I moved to NeoVim because I wanted like a faster editing experience while sticking with to like a kind of like environment that I was super like comfortable with. So that is like it's really hackable, so you can like script a bunch of things, add a bunch of aliases and commands and all that. So
are you using that as a plugin in another tool? Sorry, I missed that. Or is that like just raw NeoVim?
Yeah, it's a raw NeoVim, and you can add plugins as needed. Yeah.
That's impressive stuff. I've tried using like Vim, just like raw Vim, and like I can't do it. I need like some of the VS Code like guardrails around it and like some like the shortcuts there. It's like I've lacked the time and patience to like get it all set up. Drew, what do you use, Drew?
I'm pretty basic. I'm VS Code. I dig into some of like the Vim shortcuts, that are caked into VS Code. But other than that, I don't do much. It's always been the biggest barrier to entry to me is like the managing everything and learning all those shortcuts. So did you ever make like a hard transition there, Charlie, or was that something you just picked up over time?
Well, yeah, I was always kind of like just used to those kind of like terminal editors. Because I started with Emacs and then moved to Atom and then went back to the kind of terminal. So for me, the transition from like, Vim to NeoVim wasn't big. That's actually like the easiest thing ever. So yeah, I never really got into using VS Code. I've done a little bit on the side for when playing with like Unity and nice.
This was a last minute submission from somebody on the marketing team. So I'm proud of you, Tyler, for finding this.
That's nice.
Fun. That was funny, Tyler. Tyler is somebody who once asked, what is a meme 2 years ago? And look at how far we have come now.
How far he's come.
Submitting memes to the stream.
I'm super proud.
That is impressive. I saw somebody on our team. So Bruce, he Bruce, he was somebody who used to work on our team. He currently works at Google and is having a great time over there. He was like, I did like a small presentation on Vim a couple years back and just like, yeah, here's the things I use. Here's some of my plugins. I've got a really cool like fuzzy finder plugin and like autocomplete and stuff. And then he's like, whoa, like Vim seems awesome. I want to learn about this. And I was like, okay, yeah, how about it? Here's some resources. And then like I was like pairing with him a couple days later, like expecting it to be like, I don't know, when I was learning Vim, it was like really painful for whoever, like to like Junior and Austin and like everybody that was like pairing with me at Podium while I learned Vim, like God bless you and your patience. Because it's hard where it's like, just select the damn text, please. Yeah, Bruce had it mastered within like 3 or 4 days. So he set the bar up to here of like what I previously thought somebody was capable of doing with it. Like he was just like really fast. I've never seen somebody take to it that quickly. But normally I'd say there's like a few weeks. In my case, it was like a few months of like, I'm just like, I make a wrong keystroke and then it's like playing with a ball of yarn where I'm just like a mess and I can't get back to like what it was before. So
controversial topic and maybe the last thing before we move on. Can you not do just about anything you can do with those editors, even with all the plugins in something like VS Code these days? Is there really any benefit to it feels like the hardcore developer approach to being like, I want to do this all my way and the hard way. That's always been my thought on it. That's a little bit of a hot take, so apologies if that comes off.
Good hot take. I love it. We love those here.
No, actually, I think that is a good take, honestly. And I think right now, I don't think I'd recommend really anybody to like really feel pressured to actually try to use a tool like Vim or whatever Emacs. Because honestly, like, tools like VS Code or IntelliJ IDEA or WebStorm or whatever editor you use, they're so good now that it's just like, it's like, why slow down and, move to these other tools? For me, it was just more of like a comfort thing. I can stay within the terminal. I can, if I needed to, like, introduce other plugins or, change some bindings, because I like to customize like pretty much everything about my like desktop experience. So, but yeah, if you're comfortable with a tool like VS Code, just keep using it. It's honestly
that's really fair.
I was actually just using it today to pair with my teammate Tyler on like we have this kind of like hackathon thing that we're doing, and we're using the VS Code live share, and it's like some of like the cleanest thing, like the code sharing tools I've ever used. So, and that's something you don't get with them.
I agree with that. I think actually, so like I think you naturally start to either gravitate towards Vim or away from Vim, like over time is kind of what I've noticed. Some people, it's like where they hear Vim, like that solves a problem I need, where it's like, the code you need to write, like it's just a matter of like how quickly can you get around to do it. So like I started making keyboard shortcuts that like when I was holding on the option key, my J, K, I, and L keys turned into arrow keys, and I would use that to like move around. Yeah, my coworker looked at me, he's like, Carter, like you just like made like a dumb version of Vim, like just do that. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Like that's just the thing that like GitHub pops me in when I SSH into a machine, and like I can't get out of it. I didn't know it was actually useful. And so I'd say like the big thing that Vim does that VS Code doesn't necessarily do, like you can do it in VS Code a little bit, but like is like the navigation, like the cruising around the files. Like I see this thing right there, and I want to just like within 2 keystrokes, just like get from here to there, or I want to select this block of text, or I want to repeat this thing, on every single one of these instances of this word that like I can't easily do in VS Code. I'd say the navigation aspect and selection aspect are like the things in Vim that I have not been able to find VS Code or any other tool be able to like really match that. Charlie, would you agree with that, or do you have a different take on that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the modal editing, and once you start learning how to like maneuver through text, that could be pretty powerful. And at that point, you don't have to really move away from the home row. You don't have to touch your mouse, and it just feels nice.
Yeah, I agree. There's this thing that I think this is actually what I like about mechanical keyboards too, of like if you've ever played Sonic, like you go like fast and it makes like little sounds like, and then like you don't quote me on that, but then it goes like faster and faster, and like the music gets more intense and stuff like that. I haven't played Sonic in a while, obviously, but when I start like writing code, here I'm gonna bring chess back up again because I just made a big move and it's gonna be earth shattering. But oh wait, I'm seeing different things on the stream than I am here. Have I already lost? My computer's just behind. Oh well. But yeah, when I'm typing on my mechanical keyboard and I hear myself typing fast and I'm doing stuff in Vim and I'm jumping all over the place and like the sounds and the sights and it's like stuff's going on, I actually like get in my head and I feel like I'm like doing stuff quickly, which like feels good. Like I have a very tactile, audible, visual feedback of like, wow, look at how fast I'm going. Like this feels really good. And that then encourages me to like think more quickly. It's a mental trick, but it's like very much like something of, like when I'm in the zone and like in the flow, like my wife thinks I'm like rage typing at somebody on Twitter or Reddit or something like that because it's just like I'm actually really pleased that didn't like make my restream like turn all out things.
Yeah, shouldn't be trying that at this point. No, I totally get that, and that's honestly one of the things that's made me jealous of people who go that route. So I totally get that. But anyway, getting off this topic, which we could probably talk about for a long time. Again, Charlie, you have been with Jupiter One for longer than most anyone else at Jupiter One. I kind of want to talk about what were maybe some of the challenges, especially in those early days, and then we can maybe contrast it to where we're at now. What is going on in chess? You guys have devious looks on your face. Is that
You
something?
saw through my trap where I was trying to sneak my bishop up there. It's like maybe he won't know how 3-player chess works, and I'll be able to take his queen. That did not work. So now I'm hoping. I just took Charlie's. I don't even remember what I took, but I wanted it. Also, first one to take a player piece gets J1 bucks. Our 2.4 million viewers might not know what J1 bucks are, but they're self-explanatory, I think. Of
Josh, if you look on the right here at the very bottom, I rated a piece. So I'm just saying.
I took Drew's piece first.
Oh, did you take his piece first?
No, I think Charlie was first. He took one of your pieces before, right after Josh said that.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Check the timestamps. But yeah, anyway, back on track. Charlie, what was it like in those early days? Please enlighten me.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I guess that's a big question. So, and it's like some of you know, like back in the early days, it was like we started at like Filmic kind of like almost like a side project, honestly, right? With like, Phil and Ercon really being like the first to really kind of like start J1, or Ercon really be the really first person with the idea and a prototype that he's built of, like with just a bunch of like small scripts to kind of like prove out various different use cases, with the hope that we'd be using that ourselves to actually kind of, like assist with some security and also for compliance, with high trust being like one of the first things that we need to be compliant for. But so yeah, back in the early days, it was like a lot of it was like trying to prove out that, what we, like the idea that Ercon had could actually be like something that we can actually really kind of sell. So, back then it was like really like we needed to build a lot of things rather quickly to actually kind of, prove out like, hey, we have like a viable product. And so that, I think that was like a lot of the challenge, like building out really quickly and then, having Ercon spend a lot of time and effort trying to like, try to sell this like product that we've like kind of built like an MVP for to like, various customers and try to like get adoption. So I think those were like a lot of like the big early challenges. It was more around trying to like prove to people that like, hey, like we have like a tool that, is actually like viable, right? So yeah, that was like the big thing there.
Excuse me while I take your knight. Actually, take your queen.
It's
That's super interesting, and it makes sense now because obviously we're much more established, and that's about. I came into this company with the product being established. There was no need to prove what we had, or at least not to that extent, I think. But so obviously there were way fewer of you, and so you were doing a lot more. I would have to assume you were like juggling a lot more hats than you probably do now. Was that hectic? Was that hard?
Yeah, it was definitely very hard and hectic because, like, not only is like a lot of it like kind of helping build out the initial like pipeline and also working on like some integration work, but also like doing UI work as well, because we just had to, we needed a UI to be able to actually like display all this, and that's like honestly some of the hardest work I've had to do in a long time, just because of UI work is hard and I'm terrible at design. So yeah.
Yeah, Charlie is kind of the father of the UI here at Jupiter One. I came in and was learning at his feet of how to do React and how to do all this stuff. And that was before hooks or anything were around. It's just like very different, like 3-4 years ago than it is today. Just like everything we're doing on that side of the house is we're using front end microservices, like micro front end architecture, like single spot system JS, all these things. It's crazy how that has just kind of exploded. Do you prefer kind of like owning those tasks, like, because it was like, Charlie, go make our compliance happen. So you spun up the front end, you spun up the back end, and it was just kind of like you made it. Whereas now you're working more on the query language, and is query language primarily what do you do here?
Yeah, at the moment, the main thing that I really focus on is the query language, but also with some of the kind of like processes that consume from the query language. So question evaluations and building out.
Do you prefer like owning things like end to end like that, like working across the stack, or would you rather be like locked in, like here's this part of the stack, like here's query language? I guess compare and contrast that if you don't mind.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm not sure about it. I could really say that I like prefer one or the other, because I think they're like a lot of times just different problems. So, you know, back then it was like, it was really cool to be able to like, you know, like design the entire thing and then go ahead and execute and build the entire thing. Which, yeah, I see you have that up there. And, you know, like a lot of times it feels nice because, you know, you get a very instant feedback loop, right? Like, you know, you build up parts of the back end and then you immediately consume it from the, you know, UI side of things. You get to write all like the end-to-end tests between them and all that. And, you know, that feels fun, but like in our current situation now, it's like a lot of our problems are like really around like more like tightly constrained like issues that we have, either around like, you know, performance optimization, things like that. And that tends to be like a bit more of like a deeper type of task in some ways. I'm not saying that like, you know, designing, you know, an application and building out all of that's not a deep task. There's still a lot of like moving parts there, but you know, in a lot of ways, it's like, yeah, it's just it's different type of work, and I kind of like that like variety. So
I like that as well. Personally, like we've tried to structure like the applications team to be like more cross-cutting of like, due to the nature of the work that we have come in, there's usually front end and back end components to everything we work on. Whereas like query language is like, there's some front end components to it, but like mostly it's like library things that we consume, right? But maybe it's my consultancy background or like things I used to do, but like I love like, I don't tell anyone on my team this, but I actually hate front end work. Oh, why did it make me big while I'm saying that? Let's make the chess game big. So I actually hate, I don't hate UI work, but just like I prefer back end. I gravitate towards that, but like I love like creating a front end coupled with like a back end, like being able to just like, Carter, go make this and not have to like rely on anyone else is like feels very good to me. Also, chessmate Charlie.
oh no, damn it!
Just kidding. It's not checkmate.
Okay.
It's not checkmate.
It is one move away from it, though. Charlie had me in check when he was distracted.
Well, maybe. Actually, that's a good one to wrap it on. Oh, now I need to like see this through. We're gonna, after we end the stream, Drew, Charlie, and I'm gonna keep them on the stream.
We are gonna hash this out.
Gotta figure this out, and we'll report to you next week on what we're doing.
We have another meme.
We're coming up on.
Oh.
I was going to show this comment that came in a couple minutes ago. That was, did I hear that right? Did you just suggest a VS Code plugin that makes sonic sounds that ramp up as you type faster?
Yes.
I did not suggest that. I think what I was saying could suggest that like implicitly, but like you get the credit for this idea. Like if I make this, because I want this to exist. So if you know, of all the people watching, if it doesn't exist and you can make this, please do. And if not, I might make this. And I will give Adrian all the credit because that sounds amazing. Every time you hit the save button or every time it's like, you've been doing like some really good stuff. There's no compilation errors or anything like that. It just gets faster and faster. So I'm all for that. Anyways, wrapping up, Charlie, thanks for actually, I'm the co-host. Drew, do you want to wrap this up?
Yeah.
Nice transition there.
Someone flashed a meme real quick. I think we need to share. We also had this. It was hopefully relevant to your experience, Charlie, or at least all of our experiences. And I don't really know what it means, but it feels relevant.
I think there's a lot that we could dissect here that we don't have time for.
We don't have time for it, but we just had to share that because
The Roman legions versus like the Vikings, like that's fair. I like that. There's a variation of this meme as well, right? Or there's a longer version.
Yes, with the government. Government work.
There's also more to unpack here. I heard from one of our employees on the team who used to work for the government or like government contractors. It was like their deliverables are not like make a website. It's like make a website and then put the HTML and CSS on a flash drive and mail that to the client or drop it off at the client's doorstep. That's very different. Very different.
All right. How do we make? Okay, there we go. Yeah. So I guess that's we probably should wrap up. Charlie, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Don't get to talk to you enough. Wait, how did Carter just win?
I don't know, but it did. I thank the people of the stream for helping me with this.
That is not fair. Anyway,
you don't even get a chance to win, Drew. You get half a win.
I'm going straight to HR with this hostile workplace environment.
I think that's the only time we finished a game like on the stream. So
we did it. Perfect timing. But yeah, Charlie, it's awesome to chat with you. We could talk for hours on lots of things. But yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks for having me on.
Charlie, thanks for joining us, and love you.
All right.
Bye. Love you.
Oh, that was fun.
I'm
gonna like every time after we do one of these streams, like speaking about like the introvert thing, kind of like you mentioned that earlier. Like I told Phil this after the last stream because we hopped on a call and like we just had to like debrief on a few things, right? And I was just like, I need to take a nap every time I'm done with it. He's like, I just like gonna go lie down and like stare at the ceiling. He's like, I love talking to people. My eyes did something really freaky there. I thought it was like I love talking to people and like I love doing this kind of stuff, but like it also just like saps my strength.
Yeah, and I'm very similar, and I think so is Charlie. We should talk about that at some point. A lot of people in our field, we like to socialize, but it's hard on us.
Yeah,
it's not our strong suit.
Coming up next time, actually, I still need to get this checked out and planned out, but we're actually doing an on-site on our team, so it's gonna be the first time that we've actually met a lot of people in person. So we're all flying out to Raleigh and managed to get actually everybody on the team there, I think, which for a team of like 16 people, 17 people, that's a lot to coordinate, especially with only like a month or two notice. As an introverted extrovert, like I'm actually kind of nervous about being around everyone.
Yeah,
but
me too. Don't worry.
We're probably I'm gonna see if we can do our next stream. I think timing wise it lines up. I'm gonna see if we can do our next stream in the office there, so maybe we can have some people on the team join us in person. We can play board games in real life or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. I think it's slated for April 26th. Currently.
Yeah. I think the next stream.
Yes.
All right. We might bump it back a week, or we might do the next one a week earlier. I'll talk to Ashley or Tyler. Do you want to do the streamer voice and end it? Do you want to?
I can't do the streamer voice.
You got to give it your best shot. Everybody in the audience, raise your hand if you want Drew to do the streamer voice.
Okay, nobody raise their hand. I'll do it. Okay, give me a second. I gotta prepare my spiel. Oh wait, no. So what is it? Everyone slap the like button, subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on 100x Engineering. This is Drew and Carter.
Enjoy our brand new outro video. And